Hey guys, this is Yoga Karn, and today I'm gonna cover some Melty Blood. Yay! Woo! Melty Blood is a fun game. The Steam version is coming out in 9 days, I believe. What's the date? Yeah, it's 9 days. So it's coming out relatively soon. So in celebration, so as to speak of that, I wanted to do some Melty Blood content, and I don't want to do system videos. If you're watching this and you don't know anything about Melty Blood, just Google Rokundaya Melty Blood tutorial, and you'll see stuff by him. That's like he goes into training mode and how the basics of the game work a little bit, and kind of goes into how training mode works and stuff like that. And then he goes into another video. He goes into meter, pressure, and different moves and stuff like that. So if you don't know those basics, don't watch this video because you won't learn a ton. I mean, if you want to, you can, but I won't be. I will be expecting you to understand those. I'll expect you to kind of know what the stuff I'm talking about. Like, this is what, like, how the dash jumps affect your momentum, like stuff like that. I'll expect you to know that in advance. So, I want to do a character video instead of a system video because, like I said, there's plenty of good system videos made by people far better than me at this game, and far smarter than me in general. So, I just wanted to make this video about this character that I've been playing for 5-6 months, and I think she's really fun, and I think people should pick her up. More people should learn her because she's really fun, and that's F V Akiha. Moon Vermillion Akiha. Akiha Vermillion, whatever. Most people call her F V Akiha. And for our journey today was going to be Tono, Shiki, Tono, I don't know. Tono, whatever. No one cares. Whatever. It's funny because, both are redheads right now, because that's the color and things. I just find it really hilarious. Other people probably didn't, rightfully. What's a good stage? That's a good stage. That's a good stage. That's a good stage. This video is mostly going to be just the basics, going over the basics of the character and just basic mobility, not basic, like fairly advanced mobility, just going over the basic mobilities, but it's going to be part of how her nature game works. So this video is going to be part of a larger video of how her nature game works, which is incredibly complicated and not something I can just kind of go over in one video. So, pros and cons of picking this character: 1, she's redhead, always counts. And I don't know what her age is. Maybe she's like 16 or some garbage. I'm not gonna look that up. So if you lore fiends know how old she is, let me know. And then that can be a pro or a con, I don't know. But she has good colors. I'm gonna stop with the terrible jokes. She's a really fun character. The best way to describe her would be versatile. She's incredibly versatile and can support a lot of different playstyles. I've seen incredibly rushed down, very, very in-your-face, kind of running, because her mix-up is really, really strong. I've seen a lot of, really, really rush down heavy F V Akihas, but I've also seen really turtly F V Akihas that, just run away from you, kind of, play the movement game a lot, and kind of run away from you, expect you to, miss something, and then they'll come in and blow you up. They'll come in and blow you up for it. So incredibly versatile, a lot of different tools, good ground normals. This is good, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. This is, excuse me, this is situational but okay. This is okay, this is okay, this is godlike. Really good normals for most situations. Her specials complement her niche game fairly well. She has really good damage. And I'm gonna get camera shy and drop all the combos. Yeah, right there we go. That's 4,300 damage. I mean, I didn't have any reduce. If you have reduce, whatever. But for meterless damage, that's pretty damn good. And she is a V Akiha. She has the infamous Melty loop. And I'm gonna drop that right away. And you guys can see my motions and laugh at me. By the way, if my stick is loud, I'm incredibly sorry. Whoops. go. She has Meiji loops that are standard for pretty much every Akiha at this point, I think. C has those, H has those, F has those. For her, it's not as important to have those, because they do terrible damage. Momiji, like 60B in particular, has like 42% scaling in the first one. Something stupid like that. Let me just have a look, so I'm not totally wrong. Whoa, didn't want to go to command list, I'm dumb. There we go. It just has terrible scaling. It'll scale your economy to garbage. But the good thing about it is it builds a ton of meter. So you saw me do it again. Do it before. I'm not gonna do it again. I don't want to drop anything and waste time. It's got really good meter build. She's got really good damage. I showed the mid screen one. Let me show the corner variant. Let me drop it. Again, stuff like that. There's really good damage. And of course, if you've heard about it, which you might have if you're watching this video, maybe, she does have an infinite. It technically is an infinite. You can keep doing for as long as you want. It's I'm not gonna do it because I'm terrible at it, and I don't want to waste time trying to do it. But the basic premise is you just keep doing pits over and over, and because they're already in hit stun, you keep doing those pits over and over, and they all combo. And you're not picking them up from the ground, so there's no gravity scaling or anything like that. And you can do as many pits in the air as you want, so there's no scaling. There's nothing limiting the infinite that way either. Incredibly good if you want to do that. It's not terribly worth it, but it does exist. Like, doing a few reps of it increases your damage by a lot, especially if you've set them up properly. Setting the infinite properly takes a little bit damage away, but if you set up the infinite, you get a much more massive reward, especially for no meter. Which is incredibly huge compared to most of the meter setups that are, especially in this game. Like, most characters will spend bar to set up some sort of a mix-up that is kind of sort of good. This character sets up that mix-up with no meter, sacrifices a little bit of damage, and then, has such explosive potential, especially with the infinite, and has really good mix-up with root. Like, did I mention that? She has a good mix-up? Yeah, she has really good mix-up, by the way. I think the best description for this would be, whoops, and then bringing it in. And bringing it in. There we go. Stuff like that. You did the jump C, and then the pit puffball went the other way, and you're back on the same side. So hilarious. Am I right? Not right. But like, she does have extremely good mix-up. So once you start blocking this character, she has way too many options to crack you. Her throw is fairly good. Her throw is an Oki throw, so you have to deal with that. And she has like really good resets, pressure reset. Probably the best pressure reset in the game, honestly, or if not one of the best. Probably the best in my opinion. I don't know. There's very few pressure resets are that good, just in terms of versatility and setting up the situation. And this beats what's his name, CRX22B. So if you want to blow that character up, you have this. Cons would be definitely her low life. She has 11,000 life compared to most characters having 13 to 14,000 life. Maybe even 12.5 to like 13.5, 14-ish life is, I would say. I think that's what's considered a standard. She has 11,000. So you're taking like basically a combo less than most characters do. So that's incredibly dangerous if you mess up. And her damage, her reversal ability is really weak. She doesn't have a lot of, once she starts blocking against competent offense, she has an incredibly hard time getting out of it. And basically, like, the point of that is that F V Akiha mirrors or V Akiha mirrors in general, but F V Akiha more so, are extremely, I don't want to use the word random, but first hit wins sort of a thing. That you get the first one. If you were the first one to actually get a hit, you basically won the match if you know what you're doing and use proper confirms and everything. really good in that aspect, but has low life, so if you mess up, he dies. And she has fairly high execution demands, and which is like learning infinite setups, not necessarily learning the infinite, because the infinite by itself isn't too scary. Most of the time you'll do 8k and they'll have enough meter to burst it. But even the fact that you forced that situation, and probably if you were able to punish that burst as well, that's like so incredibly strong. But in most situations you can't. Who cares? But oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. But learning infinite setups, or even just a few reps of the infinite properly, is fairly difficult in my opinion. Um, Learning proper execution for setting up setting up the proper Oki, learning Momiji loops aren't that difficult, but they're fairly difficult compared to something that some easy characters have in this game. It's not it's not a walk in the park, so to speak. What else? What else is about this character really difficult in terms of execution? Some combos like that, learning that can be difficult for some people. It was for me when I started, but you get used to it. But that can be difficult. But the more difficult thing about her is the fact that she is so versatile, and she has so many different situations where she can, set up so many different opportunities for herself. That knowing the right one and being spacing yourself with the right tool for the optimal way to use the proper, setting yourself to use the best tool for the situation you have in hand can be incredibly difficult, given that you have so many different tools. Like when you look at C Tono, for example, he doesn't have a lot. He's a fairly substandard character. He has like neutral jump B, C, neutral jump B, standard B as an anti-hero, 2C as 2C. I don't think you need to really explain what this move does. 2C5A, 2C5C as your far-reaching punish. He doesn't have a ton. I mean, granted, he still has a fair bunch, but he's not bustling with options. She is bustling with options. You have just a lot of stuff to understand. That okay, my 5A is a good end here in this situation. If I'm further away, I have to start using 3C. If I'm neutral jumping, I have to use jump B. Except if I'm over here, I have to use jump C, or I have to jump A. And just learning the different amount of options you have, and that's like not even that's just normal. But after that, it's like when should I use puffball? When should I use pit? Pillar. When should I use pit? How should I use pit? Wait, at what part do I go? And versus, with stuff like that. The ability to kind of understand how you want to use your movement is really, really difficult, and just requires a lot of just playtime. The more you play the character, the more you get used to it, and the better your decision making will be as you get stronger. But that, knowing that and knowing the right tool for the right job is extremely difficult for new players. So that will be a potential downside to this character. But other than that, she's a really good character. She theoretically is up there with Zero and Efime as the best characters in the game. But unlocking the potential of the character is a lot more difficult than basically everyone else. So she's not considered in the same realm. She's still like S tier. Like, don't get me wrong, this character's still ridiculous, but she's not like F. Getting her to Zero FMA tier is a lot of work, both in terms of versatility, like understanding her full kit of tools, being able to execute stuff properly. It's a lot of work, basically. But if you put that work in, she'll take you far. She's a really, really, really fun character, and a really, really good character. So, I think I've rambled on enough for this. Let me just check something in a moment. Cool. Hey, I'm using OBS. So, mobility. Her mobility is really good. Do I have that? Yeah, I think so. Let me just talk about it first. Her forward dash is really good. if you played Sisei or not Sisei, but like Seifuku in general, or if you played Akiha in general, you'll notice they're kind of slow characters. This is absolutely not a slow character. You can kind of, just if you're over here, your dash up 5A threat is, kind of just, right in their face with like in a fraction of a second, pop you right there, and you make them block 5A. And because they're F Moon, your frame data on your normal is extremely strong. This is like +1 block. This is +3. This is -1. For a B, the -1 is extremely strong. This character's 2A is -1. So just knowing that, it's just incredibly stupid. Her forward dash is really good. I think I have a recording that shows Shiki doing a jump B, jump C. And you see it gets, she gets hit by it over here. But if I dash under it, I can dash under it. So her dash has a little bit of a low profile. It's not like you're going to be ducking tiger shots or anything from F V Akiha, but it's still enough to where if you want to use... Actually, I can do that mid-screen, can I? Let me set that up right now. And there we go. Let me try to anti-air this thing. Like stuff like that. You can use dash anti-airs. Set this up properly. There we go. Like stuff like that. You can really take advantage of a fast dash and the fact that it has a little bit of low profile to kind of get away from situations like that and get a really good anti-air. And her air connects, fairly strong. Set up a lot of really stupid stuff if you have the meter. So that's really good. We'll get to combos in the Oki at a later date. But forward dash, like I said, really good. Backdash, fairly standard. Not this. This backdash is so good. But it's not too bad. It's fairly standard. It gets the job done. But if you want to back out of something, you have this option. And just a note about using this on Wake Up. Anything you use on Wake Up, I mean, first of all, she doesn't have a DP. Like, she doesn't have a meterless DP. It's just, she doesn't have it. But if you want to kind of... Oh, excuse me. Damn. It's kind of insane how that... Anything you use on defense, if it gets called out, it's your ass on the platter. So be careful whenever you're using stuff like this on Wake Up, because you are going to get blown up for it if you do get baited. If you're using Wake Up Shield, Wake Up Backdash, Wake Up 63C, which I don't have a meter for, Wake Up 63C. Do keep in mind if they do get baited, you're going to get destroyed, especially because, one, you can't afford it in terms of your life bar. And second, even when you get knocked down, you in the same situation. I mean, also 2 and 4D is also kind of not good. Her bunker, not. I mean, it's good for low profiling stuff, but honestly, why would you? It's not very good for that. It's not very good as a bunker in general. So just keep that in mind. Her defense is really weak, but if you really think. If you know that you can backdash out of a certain situation like Koma's Rekka's, you just want to back out of it. This is an option for you. It's not too bad. It's not like a backdash that like it's incredibly sore or anything like that. It's fairly standard. I've been talking way too long about this. Okay, so jump, fairly standard jump. Cancel this. Like that. Fairly standard jump. You can see. Slightly higher than Shiki's, but not too much to be a horrible thing. Like it doesn't have a really floaty jump like F Hime does, but it works. The F Hime thing works out for Hime because Hime, whatever. But her jumps and stuff, they're all really good for her. Her air dash. Oh yeah. Before I do anything, her walking is okay, but you wouldn't be doing this a whole lot because her dash and backdash is really good. And you can just move around. a fair bit. So you wouldn't really, you can move really fast on the ground with dashes, so you wouldn't necessarily be walking a whole lot. But anyway, just wanted to mention that. So her air dash forward is not, it's not very standard. It's a really fast and really far-reaching air dash. It's not like this thing that just doesn't go very far and relies on the fact that he has this stupid normal, to control space. She can just kind of pew right there, pew, and set the possible, like that. Really good stuff. Really fast, forward-moving air dash. Very good back dash. Honestly, it's not broken. I mean, I don't know if that's a broken air dash. This guy sure as hell doesn't. Really bad ability. But she has a fairly good air dash. Retreat and jump A is a really difficult to challenge poke by like if Shiki's in the air and F V Akiha's in the air, like if Shiki's in the air and I'm in the air, this is incredibly hard to challenge. It's a really good tool. I mean, Shiki's not gonna get there in time to punish it by any such imagination. He might do it on the ground, but think about what he's doing. It's a really good tool. Kind of just I'm backing out, reset the situation, go far away, stuff like that. Her super jump, standard super jump, nothing too weird about it. She has a double jump, just like everybody else. This is super double jump. Hey, look at me float. I'm like a Mary Poppins. Does Mary Poppins float? I don't know. Look at me like I'm Storm. I don't know. Something like that. But so there's that. Where you might be thinking like, oh, this is all standard. What's so different about her? The thing about what makes her mobility so different compared to other characters is, one, she has a double air dash, which is incredibly useful to know, because like I said, like this oh, what am I doing? Like this, just general poking. Oh god, I'm so bad. Yeah, this kind of general just poking is incredibly hard to challenge for a lot of characters. But also because having two air dashes just helps in mobility a ton. But also something that helps her a lot is her air specials, namely pit. Oh, the ground pit. Ground pit is useless. Air pit, air puffball, and air pillar, or charge pillar, or grounded regular pillar, whatever. So let's start with let's start with pillar actually, because last time I started with pit and it just went horribly. Pillar is incredibly simple. It's a pillar. It's a bunch of flame pillars that you set up from the ground, from the air. This one is incredibly simple to understand. It's if you played Marvel 3, it's a very ghetto version of drones. Most people use it like, they'll use it and kind of set the pillar out. It stops air momentum, so it's good for that, but not terribly. If you really want to use that, just like neutral jump if you have it, or just pit, a lot safer. But if you're pressed for options and you think that this is gonna work for you, then you have this option. Especially the charge versions. The charge version takes out much longer. Takes much longer to start up, so the momentum is really the momentum halt is much better. Do note that this has let me just hold up for a second. Like, you see the recovery, right? It's not a ton, but if you do an air pillar, there's a fair bit of recovery on the ground when you land. So if you mess up and call the B version, let me just do that. Whoops, wrong version. If you mess up and do the wrong version, you get blown up for it pretty badly. Or if you do the A version and they jump over it, it's actually fairly hard to do, because stuff like that. If you mess up and they get over it and punish you, that's pretty bad. Because one, you don't have a lot of life, and two, it's an easier punish than just neutral jumping. So you kind of just you kind of get blown up for there for just it was a mistake, you know. And don't make mistakes with this character because you don't have the life to support a lot of mistakes. So there's that. Charge Filler has a lot more recovery. Like you see over there, a lot more recovery. Also, charged any pillar shuts down all your further air mobility. So you can't pillar and air dash, or you can't pillar and then double jump. You're kind of stuck there with the pillar. So the best thing to do with it is, one, not to TK it like this, because if you mess up, it's an extremely easy punish. But second of all, is to do it as late as possible to take away, like that was a perfect example actually, like that. To come down with the pillar as soon as possible and get the most out of the frame advantage you get from getting the pillar block or something like that. So like, if you're over here, some characters dealing with this is fairly difficult actually, especially if they're at this angle, and then you run in and do stuff. You know, then you miss the delay the pillar and stuff like that. It's not terribly easy for a few characters to deal with it. Some characters can deal with it. Everyone can call it out and punish it, and if they call it out right, you can get blown up. But if they don't like actively call it out, passively defending against it, it's kind of quite a risky thing, especially if they're like an H-Moon and try to shield this. If you try to shield the regular version, and you do the charge version, the shield comes out and they get blown up. You know, they'll tap, the shield will tap, and they'll be in counter phase, and the charge field will come out as a punish, and you can run and confirm off of it. Really cool. Honestly, it's not terribly useful in terms of just general mobility. It's just something that, you know, oh, I'm running away. Oh, I see someone like, you know, dashing at me. I can use this as a safety net of sorts. Damn, I'm dying over here. You can use that as a safety net, you know. Don't get used to it. Don't get too complacent with it, because it's one of the easiest air special. It's the easier air special move for the opponent to blow up if they read it properly. Compared to something like air fireball or air pit, not terribly. Those aren't too hard. Those aren't too easy to blow up, you know. But this, if they call it, it's just your ass on a platter. So to be very, you know, very deliberate with it. Know when you're gonna use it, and watch high-level videos. Like basically in general, if you want to understand how these options work a lot better than what I'm explaining, just watch high-level videos. That would be the best explanation for, you know, you see how people are using it, then you can try to emulate it and try to understand how what they're doing that kind of sort of mobility for. Next is Puffball. It's an incredibly stupid move. Let's not kid ourselves here. It's probably one of the best air special. It's probably the best air special in the game, if not one of the best. If anyone is below you, they just it's there's nothing he can do about it. It's got incredibly good air recovery. You can it's got really good recovery. It's difficult to punish and shield. Like if you shield it, it's not easy to get a punish on it, especially like it's just really hard to punish if you use it properly and move after it really well. And one of the better things about this is, unlike Pillar, this lets you keep your air mobility. Well, let me just differ. Like A version goes forward, B version goes backward. So if you're you can almost treat them as getaway dashes, not necessarily. They're not really like that. They're kind of like that. So you can sort of treat it as, like, if you're thinking of, oh, I don't know, if I'm gonna run up and air backdash to bait something, like bait a reversal or something like that, you can, where did I do that? You can do stuff like that. They're kind of like a double jump, and an air dash put together in terms of movement. It's not like entirely that and that is it's not a very faithful explanation, but it works out kind of, especially at a low level thinking anyway. It's a puffball might as well just be in its own movement tool, but whatever. Puffball doesn't let you air backdash. Oh, let me just say that puffball's momentum is also affected by your dash jumps. Like, let me just look at regular A version. The EA version powered by the dash jump. Regular B version. Regular B version powered by the dash jump. It doesn't really go anywhere. You can use stuff like that to really trick the opponent as to which side they should be blocking with the puffballs. So it's really good for that. Especially, it's a really good guess to get someone to take in the neutral game, because it's not terribly risky if you do mess up. I mean, it is if they call it out that you're going to use that sort of a mix up. It's incredibly risky then. But if you know they aren't going to call it out, if you know they're going to be near the ground or on the ground, it's a really good it's a really safe-ish mix-up and just kind of get the opponent to deal with. Like, oh, if I'm going to go in front of you, or if I'm going to go behind you, or if I'm going to go back to where I'm supposed to go. Stuff like that. It's really good to kind of put it's a really safe mix-up. It's just basically just of it, because you can double jump after it, and you can air dash forward after it. And did I mention she has 2 air dashes? If I didn't, I can do it now. She has 2 air dashes. Really good stuff. So you can, like, if you haven't done anything, you can, like, super jump that, and really good movement stuff. And there is no limit to how many puffballs you can do in the air, so you can really do stuff like, I messed it up. I messed it up again. You can really do stuff like that, and combined with Pitsulug, which I'll get to in a second. Incredibly good mobility, really good stuff to kind of just stay in the air for a really, really long time and get the opponent really frustrated as to how they should approach you. Kind of just mixing it up, really. And, mixing stuff like puffballs up with... Oh, damn. Just, landing with jump C, and landing with jump A, readying yourself for the opponent's approach and just running up and air grabbing them. Oh, air grab is extremely good, by the way. So if you're like, oh, I'm jumping too. Oh, I see him jumping. Oh, I'm just gonna up and scoop him. Stuff like that. If you're ready for it, her fast and very horizontal air dash allows her to call out stuff like that and punish the opponent, or like just get some damage on them for free. And that's pretty much puffball. Intricate use of puffball really depends on just watch high level videos to see how people use puffball in neutral effectively. Ground puffball is useless, by the way. It's very, very, very close to useless, so don't bother with it. But this is their puffball. Who cares? Just the A and B version. Just understand how they work, how they're C version. Don't bother with C version of the pillar or puffball in terms of movement in neutral. What the hell? Stuff like that. Mix up how you're gonna move and where you're gonna move, and having effective movement with F V Akiha is really the key to success, basically. So yeah. Now let's get to Pit, the most complex special move in terms of mobility. Not necessarily, kind of. But just in the neutral game. So, Pit, there's 3 versions of the actual move. It all depends on where you set the Pit, but the movement is fairly similar. Movement, I want to say, is identical. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but like it's very similar. It's basically indistinguishable. The point of pit is it's a brake. It's a not the not I snapped it into brake, but you know the car brake, sort of a brake. Uh, you know, if you're air dashing something and you're like, oh, I don't want to land at that, or if you're like super jumping, I don't want to land at that, I'm just gonna use a pit to kind of divert myself far away. Especially if you haven't set any pits in the air, you can be like, oh, I don't want to land at that. Hey, I'm kind of farther away. If you used up all your movement options, but you still don't want to land or anything, you can be like, I'm just gonna set up pits. I'm gonna go away. Bye. Catch me if you can, something like that. Pits are good in neutral because they represent spots the opponent shouldn't be at. But like I said, this is basically just an ability. This isn't like neutral game or space control or anything like that. So I'm not gonna be going into stuff like that. But the momentum change that pit causes is not affected by whether you're super jumping or dash jumping or anything. You'll always be moving back a certain but with a certain velocity or speed. You always be moving back at a certain speed, and that isn't affected by if you're in a special state. Like I said, if you dash jump, the B version doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of lands almost straight down, not really, but almost. And the air version kind of just goes so far, like that. Pit isn't affected by that. So if you're trying to space situations such as like, whoops, didn't want to deal with that, you're safe with that. And you set it at a pit, which is good, because setting at a pit is always good, depending on the situation. So this is basically it. When I just explain this, it doesn't seem extremely difficult to kind of get a grasp of all of this, especially when you take it into individualized parts. But when you start to put this together, put pits together. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. If you super jump and then super double jump, you can't see the bottom of the screen, and you can kind of use that opportunity to set out pits and kind of use pillars and puffballs to kind of waste a lot of screen time, which is incredibly useful, especially if you want to stall time and stuff like that, or if you just want to create situations where the opponent literally doesn't know where they should be going, because they might just fall into a pit or something like that, or if they want to try to come up, they have to deal with this and this, stuff like that. So it's really good. So, like, creating, it's good to know the different options, and having an understanding of the different options takes a bit of time and getting used to the character. But the real difficulty lies in knowing when it's a good idea to just dash up and fire away, when it's a good idea to backdash, when it's a good time to wait, when it's a good time to just walk back and forth a little bit, adjust the spacing, so that if they want to dash in, if they want to air dash or something like that, they land it right in front of you, and you can 5A, 5C, 4C, stuff like that, punish. Being ready for that, versus knowing when to just use jump and do stuff like that, and just kind of call someone out for seeming like a block over there. When it's a good time to kind of use this, do a pillar or something like that. When it's a good time to kind of do a lower air dash pillar. Knowing the differences between how the opponent's character and the opponent deals with lower air dash versus how they deal with a higher air dash, and how they deal with an air dash and a back dash, how they deal with air dash and back dash, how they deal with air dash puffball. But yeah, keep that in mind. If you're trying to use immediate air dash in the puffball, try to do it with the joystick or the pad instead of with the buttons, where you do 6A and B. Because if you try to do that, more often than not, if you want to do dash and puffball, you end up getting 2 dashes. So keep that in mind if you don't want to mess that up. It's happened to me too often for me to be really happy about it. Me being happy about me messing up, but I'm not happy about it. So knowing when to do that, knowing when to use stuff like that, knowing when to, you see what I'm saying? There's just too many options in terms of movement that this character has, that understanding each and every single one of them. Oh yeah, forgot about this. you know, oh, okay, how do I set this up properly? Oh, okay. I'm really gonna have to do this. Like stuff like that. Knowing the spacing for that, and knowing when I should do this, and calling it out, and having the wherewithal to understand that this is a different option over here, and over here it's not as a viable of an option. And knowing that, okay, if I'm over here, I have different options compared to over here, and understanding the usage of your normals as well. It's not just about the specials, it's all about the normals as well. Your jump C is an incredibly strong cross-up. And being able to set it up from situations where the opponent is expecting something like this, or I don't know, just you landing and this running up and 5Aing. The amount of different tools you have is incredibly overwhelming as a new player, and more often than not, and I mean this happened to me as well, you'll always default to a single option most of the time, or a certain set of options that aren't all the options. And to be a truly good F V Akiha player, it's important to know all the options. It's important to be familiar with all the options. It's important to be familiar with how the opponent blows up the different options, because over here against Coma. Damn, sorry. It's like F Coma. It's a stupid idea to be doing this to him, because he's just gonna 2B you out of the air, and that's he's gonna run his set play now. That is, you don't want that. So it's better to understand that, okay, it's a better idea to set something like that up. It's not the best situation, but like, understanding the differences in terms of how the character and the opponent deal with the movement that you have, and the movement that you're proficient at, that you have a proficient understanding. Would that be a good word? Like, and a deep understanding of, in terms of how I'm going to attack the opponent. Just that alone, her mobility is so deep that I can literally just stand here and like break down character matchups in terms of, okay, this is a good way to move in this situation, this is a good way to move in this situation, this is a bad way to move in that situation, stuff like that. It's incredibly deep, and I could stay here for hours and hours and hours, but I don't have that time. So it's just watch a lot of match videos with F V Akiha, see how the player is moving, see how the opponent is moving, put what knowledge you have gained from here as sort of, okay, this is what this move does. He's moving this way. I wonder if he's trying to set up this situation, or how's the opponent dealing with this? Oh, the F V Akiha has shown the opponent that I'm going to use a lot of stuff like that. Pillar puffball near the head. Near the head. Stuff like that. The F V Akiha is gonna use stuff like that. So how is the opponent gonna deal with it? And when the opponent has shown that, okay, this is a way that the opponent wants to deal with it, then F V Akiha has to change her approach to what the opponent is doing. Maybe she's gonna use that to call out with the jump A. Standard Melty fundamentals. Just running up and just jumping someone. Her jump A is not bad. Her jump A is a fairly good poke for that situation. But it's about knowing what you have. It's about understanding how you're going to use it. It's about understanding what the opponent is doing, and it's about being able to do it and being able to capitalize off of it. If you get one of those, you should be ready with the meaty 2 ways, or some sort of a mix-up going after that, because it's a hard knockdown. Stuff like that. And using your mobility, I'm going to the neutral game here, because her mobility is such a huge part of a neutral game. I have to kind of mention it. It's an incredibly difficult part of getting the character down compared to someone like Citono. Incredibly simple character. Doesn't have a ton of stuff that he has to do in the neutral game. What threats does he have? Like, you can count them on one hand. And not to say that that's bad or anything. They're really good tools. this is a really good tool. This is a really good tool. This is a really good end here. This is a fairly whatever. This is a really good fit that you have to keep in mind from closer up compared to something like over here where dash 2C is an option, and neutral jump C, air dash C, air neutral jump B, neutral jump A, air dash, jumping over A, stuff like that. Those are a fairly good amount of threats, but there are, compared to F V Akiha, it's not nearly as enough, so it's about, with like someone like Tono, it's about knowing which one of your options covers the most options. With F V Akiha, to an extent, that's also the case, but it's more about specialized sort of ideas. It's about, okay, well, they're moving in a certain way. I have these many different options to deal with it. Which one am I going to use now? It's so me saying the word specialized was really stupid on my part. But it's more like you have different counters for different situations, and you have more than one counter for each situation with this character, at the very least. I mean, maybe other characters have that as well. I'm not really sure. I'm not a different character's main. I just really main this character. But she at the very least has very different counters, and which one you want to use is up to you, and how much you want to vary the things up. Because like I said, I've been repeating it. She has low life. It's something that you really need to keep in mind when you're playing this character, because one hit on you can mean so much. Can literally mean the difference between you winning and you losing. So always keep that in mind, that you have low life. So your decision making needs to be fairly strong, and being able to having the wherewithal to know your different options, to know which one is the best one for the job, to know how much, how the opponent is moving and stuff like that. I keep repeating this because it's an important thing to understand, and being mobile enough with this character. You don't really want to be a sitting duck. You don't want to be really standing here trying to use your normals, because if you mess up, you're dead. It's about understanding all your movement tools and applying them properly. Sorry if it felt like it was a really long, sort of long-winded explanation for something that could have been easier to explain, but I feel like it's really something that I have to drive the point home to new players, that this is something you have to understand, and if you don't, you're gonna lose. You can't win with this character unless you know how to move well, and you know all your options, and you understand how much the opponent knows your options as well. I forgot to mention this. Character knowledge is an extremely thing that you need to know. The opponent doesn't know that this is basically unchallengeable by most characters, or at least by their character. If you know that they don't know that their character can't deal with this as well, and they have to use preemptive measures, then that's something you can definitely abuse. In terms of, okay, this, it's a tool that you just certainly you don't have as much a risk of, using. I'm gonna stop here because I'm gonna ramble longer than I am really supposed to. As if this wasn't long rambling, but yeah. Next video, I don't know what I'm gonna do next video. Probably just break down over normals. That'll probably be it. I'll probably release it at some other point. I should do it this sooner, considering Steam release is close. I don't know. But in any case, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.